The Mysterious Man in the Basement. It was just another average Tuesday at my high school when I walked into my astronomy class. The class was held in one of the basement rooms, a place that always gave me the creeps. The school was huge, spread out across 3 floors, and there was always some room or hallway that felt a little too quiet, a little too dark. This particular basement room had no intercoms or loudspeakers, and it was tucked away from the rest of the school, isolated. We all called it the chamber. The room was a bit of a legend among students. Some said it used to be a janitorial closet, and they could feel that eerie vibe when it was empty. But on that day, as usual, we had a quiz, and after I finished, I was bored out of my mind. I texted my friend, JJ, who was in another classroom in the basement, and we decided to meet up in the bathroom. When I walked down the hallway, the basement door opened, and JJ walked in, looking at his phone. We joked around for a bit, laughing about the quiz and how easy it was. But then, JJ froze. He looked at his phone and said, "The school's going on lockdown." We both looked at each other. Lockdowns were serious, but we saw it as a way to have some fun. The teachers wouldn't miss us for a while, so we decided to sneak upstairs and check out the empty hallways. As soon as we opened the basement door, we were shocked. The lights were off. It was pitch black except for the faint glow coming from the lobby. The whole school seemed too quiet. We crept into the hallway, both of us feeling uneasy. JJ stepped forward and whispered, "Who's that?" I followed his gaze, and we both saw a man emerging from the dark, moving slowly. He wasn't dressed like a teacher. He looked disheveled, almost like a homeless man, and he seemed to be walking straight toward us. Panic hit us both at the same time. I told JJ, "Let's go now." We hurried back to the basement, trying to stay as quiet as possible. The classrooms down there were locked, the lights off. We couldn't go back into class, so we hid in the bathroom. I turned off the light and we squeezed into the corner stall. The silence was suffocating. All we could hear was our breathing and the occasional drip from the sink. Then the bathroom door opened. A burst of light flooded the room before it slammed shut again, leaving us in the dark. We froze. I could hear footsteps coming closer, slow, deliberate steps. The breathing outside the stall grew louder. It was heavy, labored, as if someone had been running. JJ whispered in my ear, "We have to crawl out through the other stalls." The silence was so complete that I could hear every word he whispered, and so could whoever was outside. Suddenly, the heavy breathing stopped, and I heard the door of our stall begin to rattle as someone tried to force it open. I whispered urgently to JJ, "Go, go!" We crawled under the sidewall into the next stall, then to the next, and then out to the other side of the bathroom. But the man wasn't done. He started banging on the stall doors, his anger echoing through the small room. We rushed to the door, flung it open, and as the light flooded in, we saw him standing in the corner of the room. Without saying a word, we pounded on the door to JJ's classroom. The teacher let us in, locking the door behind us. JJ quickly explained what had happened, and the teacher's face turned pale when he mentioned the man had a gun. I was shocked. I hadn't seen a gun, but I didn't argue. Everyone in the classroom was on edge, the air thick with tension. Suddenly, a loud bang came from the door. Everyone jumped. The man was on the other side, trying the doorknob, his face visible through the window. After a few more angry bangs, he walked away, disappearing down the hallway. We don't know how long the lockdown lasted, but it felt like forever. For over an hour, we sat in silence. The teacher kept asking us questions, clearly worried, and I could hear the fear in his voice. Finally, we were escorted out of the building, where we were met by police. The cops asked us to describe the man, but after that, we never heard what happened next. The school ramped up security after that, installing cameras everywhere. But I can't shake the feeling that the man's intentions were far darker than we realized. That day, I truly believe he was there to do something far worse than just scare us. Story 2. The Middle School Lockdown Nightmare. I spent 20 years on the police force, and in all that time, the most disturbing call I ever responded to was a school lockdown. It happened at a nearby middle school, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was a stormy, dark day, and I was called to a lockdown after a suspicious man was seen stepping out of a white van and walking into the school's back door by the boys' locker room. I arrived at the scene, parked my car next to the van, and immediately noticed that no one was inside. All the doors were locked, and the trunk was empty. The atmosphere was already off. I made my way through the back door, flashlight in hand, the lights in the school turned off. It was eerily quiet with only the soft hum of the air vents above. I made my way to the boys' locker room. As I entered, the silence was broken by faint scratching sounds, something scraping against metal. My flashlight flickered as I scanned the room. I heard a locker door slam from the other side, and my heart skipped a beat. I moved toward the sound, my gun drawn, but as I entered the boys' football locker room, I saw something that made my stomach churn. A kid trapped inside a locker. He was banging on the door, shouting for help. I immediately called for backup and ran back outside, hoping to catch the man before he disappeared. When I returned to the school, I found the van was gone. The man was nowhere to be found. I felt a cold sense of dread as I ran back inside, ordering the staff to evacuate the school. We managed to get the boy out, but he had been hurt, cut with a knife, likely from the man trying to force him into the van. Weeks later, they found the white van parked in a 7-Eleven parking lot, and the man was arrested. I'll never forget the look of terror in that boy's eyes, nor the feeling that something far worse was going on right under our noses. Story 3. The Hotel Lockdown. This story happened to me while I was visiting Rowan University in New Jersey. I stayed in a Hampton Inn alone, as my family couldn't make the trip. I had spent the day touring the campus and went out to grab a quick bite to eat. When I returned to the hotel, I thought I would relax before heading back to campus the next morning. Around 9 p.m., I heard an alarm start going off in my room. It was strange, like nothing I'd ever heard in a hotel before. A white light began flashing in the corner of the ceiling, and a recorded message kept repeating, "All Hampton Inn guests, please remain in your rooms. This is a lockdown." At first, I wasn't sure what to think. I assumed it was some kind of malfunction. I was more curious than worried, honestly. I turned on the TV to drown out the alarm and went about my business, changing clothes and brushing my teeth. After a while, I shut off the lights and lay down in bed, still unable to sleep because of the flashing light. Then the phone rang. It was the front desk, and the voice on the other end was unusually concerned. "Please remain calm," the voice said, "and leave your room immediately. There is someone in your room." I froze. My heart stopped. I looked around the room, under the bed, in the bathroom. No one was there. Then my eyes landed on the closet. The door was slightly cracked open, and I could see a face staring at me through the gap. The door quickly slammed shut. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my things and bolted out of the room. The front desk showed me security footage from an hour earlier. It was a man walking around the hotel, trying to find a specific room. When he reached mine, he used a card to open the door. He'd been in my room watching me for hours. They arrested him in the hotel lobby shortly after. I'll never forget the way he looked at me as they dragged him away, almost like he knew exactly who I was. Looking back, it's terrifying to think that he might have been watching me the entire time. These stories are a grim reminder of how unsettling the world can be, even when we think we're safe. Stay vigilant and never take your safety for granted.